Welcome to our channel. The conflicts between Ukraine and Russia that started 7 months ago changed direction many times. Initially, it was predicted that the Russian army would establish an overwhelming superiority over Ukraine. But the Ukrainian warriors put up a legendary resistance with all their wealth and did not give full control to the Russians in any region. The Kherson counteroffensive, which has been going on for about 40 days, was successful with the operations of HIMARS and the Ukrainian Air Force and destroyed Putin's fake referendum plans in the region. The Russian army suffered a heavy blow in the Crimea and Kherson region, leaving more than 20,000 soldiers in the region to die by not providing support. This was a great shock to the Russian commanders and the occupation troops and Russian commanders, who could not withstand the heavy attacks of the Ukraine, deserted. While the Russian army could not get over this shock, the Ukrainian armed forces launched a covert all-out counterattack in the Donbas region in Kharkiv at the dawn of September 7, and started to root out the invading troops. The Ukrainian attacks were so heavy that Russia lost all its prestige and most valuable weapons in Ukraine. The most valuable system Russia sent to Ukraine was the S-400 air defense system. However, the situation of the S-400s in the south, which is thought to be able to withstand Ukraine's favorite HIMARS in recent days, is mediocre against the Ukrainian Air Force. While Russia's billion-dollar weapon was helpless against HIMARS attacks, the latest reports reported that 2 S-400s were destroyed. In the ongoing legendary counterattack in Kherson, the Ukrainian Air Force managed to destroy 2 of Russia's S-400 air defense complexes, each worth more than $1 billion. The U.S.-made AGM-88 anti-radar missiles newly acquired by the Ukrainian MiG-29 jets also made a significant difference in this success. On September 7th, 14 heavy air raids and hundreds of HIMARS fires, the Southern Operational Command reported that the Ukrainian armed forces destroyed 2 S-400 air defense systems, along with more than 100 Russian soldiers. It has completed more than 370 firing missions in the missile and artillery attacks by the Ukrainian armed forces in southern Ukraine alone. As a result of the attacks of the Ukrainian Air Force and its artillery, Russian troops lost 108 soldiers, 5 tanks, 3 Grad multiple-launch rocket systems, 15 armored vehicles, 10 howitzers and heavy artillery, 120mm mortars, 2 S-400 air defense system complexes. In addition, the Russian S-300 guidance radar and 2 ammunition depots in the Mykolaiv region were destroyed. The Russian air defense system has fallen into disrepute, while the short-sightedness of the S-400s against HIMARS has destroyed its respectable reputation in recent years. We can clearly observe that Russia's most advanced S-400 air defense system cannot intercept rockets fired by the American-made M142 HIMARS multiple-launch rocket system. Anton Gerashenko, advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, made statements on the subject recently. Gerashenko did not provide any details regarding the failure of the S-400 system against HIMARS rockets. Still, the Russian armed forces, ammunition, and fuel tanks are not protected from the power of American weapons, he said. Russian arms depots in Donetsk, Lysychansk, and Kherson, etc., using the U.S.-applied HIMARS MLRS system. Shortly before Gerashenko made his allegations, a Ukrainian portal reported that the S-400 would not be able to shoot down a single HIMARS rocket in the Donbas, Zaporizhia, or Kherson regions. Look, this claim is not an empty claim, because the S-400 air defense systems have not had any success against HIMARS missiles until today. It also has a new weapon that will destroy the S-400 air defense system in the area. This weapon is the AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles recently supplied by the USA. The Ukrainian armed forces are allegedly trying to destroy Russia's S-400 air defense system using AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles recently supplied by the United States. A report in the Russian media reported that the Ukrainian armed forces has been trying to use AGM-88 HARM missiles to destroy the S-400 and Buk M3 anti-illumination radars for the past 3 weeks. The AGM-88D variant of the missile was used to hit a specific S-400 position, but failed to reach its target, Russian media reported. However, AGM-88s have recently enabled the Ukrainian Air Force to smash the Russian air defenses and carry out attacks with ease. We need to examine the gun in a little more detail. Unlike older models, the AGM-88D has GPS connected to the internal navigation system, which flows into the general target area using INS and then resides in the emitters using a passive seeker. Combining GPS with INS allows the AGM-88D to operate in preliminary mode, where the coordinates of the enemy radar site are already fed into the missile. Russian media shared a claim about how these missiles were equaled in the last attack. The team in charge of the Russian air defense system was able to detect the incoming AGM-88D missile and turned off the radars, depriving the missile of its ability to focus on radiation, the report says. The Russians claim that their radar system has such a high-end structure. However, in the first days of the war, this radar was completely useless against Bayraktar TB2s. Recently, HIMARS missiles can easily hit Russian targets. While Russia stubbornly claims to have such a strong defense system, the first question to ask them is why is Russia so vulnerable to HIMARS in Ukraine? Using all available heavy and long-range weapons, including HIMARS, Ukraine launched a campaign that destroyed dozens of important fuel and ammunition depots in Ukraine's occupied areas and jeopardized Russian logistics, vital supplies, and artillery. The Ukrainian army then began using rockets against Russian-controlled airports, bridges, and transport points. Now, HIMARS also directly challenges Russia's air defenses and wipes out expensive advanced radars far behind the front lines. In this regard, Russia is completely helpless watching the destruction of its equipment. Considering the conflicts in recent months, it seems that there's not much that Russia can do about it. Its own systemic flaws, outdated tactics, lack of initiative, and previous failures in the war leave little chance to confront the American weapons currently in Ukraine's hands. Currently, the armed forces of Ukraine have 16 HIMARS in total. At the same time, an undisclosed number of M270 MLRS, a similar but heavier truck-mounted system supplied by Western countries, is already in operation in Ukraine, according to Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov. In a matter of weeks, several HIMARS managed to take away most, if not all, of the most important ammunition and fuel depots in Russia's Donbass and the occupied south of Ukraine. Almost every dusk, videos of massive explosions appear on social media at Russian warehouses in Kherson Oblast or Donbass. The start of HIMARS attacks brought another important point into play. It also allowed Ukraine to use ex-Soviet Tochka-U ballistic missiles, hidden by the Ukrainian military due to its lack of heavy weapons. Since Ukraine has HIMARS, Ukrainians may well use Tochka-U more often. Tochka-U systems have an effective range of up to 100 kilometers and are more powerful than HIMARS, but much less sensitive and much easier to intervene. Tochkas and HIMARS lead the ongoing campaign to attack deep into the Russian-held rear. As part of its expanding hit list, HIMARS destroyed several critical Russian targets in July. One of the most important of these targets was the headquarters of Russia's 20th Motor Rifle Brigade. As a result of the attacks on the brigade, it was reported that the commander of the brigade, Colonel Alexei Gorobets, and 2 other senior commanders were killed on the 12th of July. It seems clear that the killing of senior officers puts minds under the dynamics of the Russian army. For this reason, the fact that such attacks can be carried out infuriates Putin. At the same time, Putin cannot accept a U.S. weapon chewing up Russian weapons, but he has to keep his silence on this matter, because what he claimed while selling these weapons to his allies was that these weapons were far superior to those of the USA. This is how Putin lost not only his troops, but also his reputation in the war in Ukraine. The destruction of $1 billion Russian S-400 systems by the Ukrainian Air Force is reflected in us as the single most valuable ammunition loss record for the Russian army. We hope that the Ukrainian warriors drive all the invaders from the Ukrainian lands, and Ukraine regains its territorial integrity. Thanks for watching.